Hello world and welcome back to F1 Help with your host Lazarus, which is me of course, and in this video we're going to be continuing the series which I titled Formula Flop, in which I will be taking a look at the drivers who had exceptional or even decent junior careers, or maybe careers in different series, but come the main stage, be it Formula 1, NASCAR, IndyCar, MotoGP, etc., they simply failed to live up to their expectations and never lived up to their, well, expected potential. And this case today is one very interesting, if maybe a little bit of a forgettable driver as well. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the Formula Flop. The term flying Finn nowadays is used to describe Finnish drivers, of course, who have achieved significant success in Formula 1. But originally, the nickname was first used for a Finnish long-distance runner, one Juho Hannes Kolehimainen, who won the 3 gold medals in the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden. Since then, the nickname actually transitioned into motorsports, I think way back in the 60s, usually used to describe Finnish rally drivers, the likes of Timo Mäkinen, Rauno Aaltonen or Hannu Mikkola. It wasn't until 1975 that the nickname made its way into Formula 1, when the Finnish driver Leo Kinnunen made his debut on the Swedish Grand Prix in 1975. And since then the nickname was passed on from Keke Rosberg, who won the Formula 1 title in 1982, to JJ Lehto, who competed on and off in the early 90s, Mika Häkkinen, who won the titles both in 1998 and 1999, then Mika Salo, who again competed late 90s, early 2000s, and most notably Kimi Räikkönen, who won the title in Formula 1 in 2007. But the same year, 2007, saw the emergence of one more flying Finn who may not have as an impressive career in Formula 1 as his junior career suggested. Of course, I am referring to none other than Heikki Kovalainen. Heikki Kovalainen was born in the town of Suomussalmi in Finland, and he began his karting career in 1991 at the age of 10, where he placed third in the Finnish overall karting championship, won the Nordic karting championship, and then also won the Formula A, if I'm not mistaken. It's something like World Formula A Championship is when it was called, and in 2001 he made his switch to single-seaters, firstly in the British Formula Renault Championship, where he managed to score a couple of podiums and I think 4 wins, en route to 4th place in the championship. In 2002 he moved to British Formula 3, where he finished 3rd behind Robbie Kerr and James Courtney. So naturally, the next step towards greatness and superstardom was to join the World Series by Nissan Formula, where he would be for 2003. That is, in that series he would be paired with the 2001 champion Franck Montagny of France, who also happened to win the title in 2003 as well. Kovalainen would go on to claim his own title in the series in 2004, before switching full-time to the newly formed GP2 series, what was before then known as Formula 3000. This season was dominated by none other than Nico Rosberg, but Kovalainen kept his cool and with 5 wins to his name managed to finish 2nd behind Rosberg in the championship. Now, there was one event which was notable in Kovalainen's career, which happened in 2004, and that event was the Race of Champions. Now, if you do not know what the Race of Champions is, that's basically drivers from multiple categories compete in in the same equipment, same cars, on the same track, and the disciplines vary from Formula 1 to NASCAR to rallying, and you get the gist. So Kovalainen competed in either of those series, but still got the invitation to participate. And in that 2004 Race of Champions, he shocked the motor racing world to its very foundations by beating David Coulthard, current Formula 1 driver for McLaren, Jean Alesi, who was a former Formula 1 driver and a race winner, then Michael Schumacher, current Formula 1 World Championship, en route to the finals, where he would face none other than Sébastien Loeb, the rally champion of 2004. Naturally, since Kovalainen never even stepped foot in a rally's car, he naturally completely destroyed Sébastien Loeb to be crowned the champion of champions. Also, around this time is when the Renault Formula One team offered Kovalainen some, well, testing duties for being their test driver. So after he finished his GP2 campaign, he spent the entire 2006 season doing just that, covering over 28,000 kilometers in testing. And when Fernando Alonso left Renault to join McLaren, Kovalainen was then called up to take Alonso's seat. He, for 2007, would be partnered with Italian veteran Giancarlo Fisichella, and his early races were nothing too particular. They were decent, but nothing to write home about. He finished 10th on his debut in Australia, but he would generally outscore and outpace Fisichella throughout the season, with his best finish coming in Japan, where he finished second. Now, overall, for the 2007 season, he managed to score a total of 30 points, if I'm not mistaken, which is 9 more than what Fisichella managed. For 2008, Kovalainen got a dream call-up when he was contacted by McLaren to again replace Fernando Alonso, who, returned back to Renault. Now, his teammate for the season would be some guy from like, I think, England or something, by the name of Lewis or something. I cannot really remember, of course. Now, being paired with one of the best drivers of his generation and probably maybe of all time was never going to be easy for Kovalainen. But generally, he did perform, well, quite decently, especially in qualifying. However, while Hamilton managed to win the 2008 championship, of course, as we all know, Kovalainen only managed to finish 7th in the general standings. He appeared on a podium only 3 times that season, but in one of those podium finishes, he actually became Formula One's winner number 100 when he took the checkered flag in Hungary. After race leader Felipe Massa, well, his Ferrari, his engine blew in a puff of smoke. He was forced to retire with just a couple of laps to go. Kovalainen was there just to seize the opportunity. So, of course, as Lewis Hamilton won the 2008 title, he scored, of course, 98 points, with Kovalainen back in 7th, only managing 53. Now, he would be retained for the 2009 season by McLaren, again paired up with Lewis Hamilton. However, at this point, McLaren were not too sure whether they needed to design a bus or a Formula One car, so both Kovalainen and Hamilton struggled in the early part of the season. But while Hamilton did manage to claw up 2 victories and a further 3 podiums to actually finish 5th overall in the standings, Kovalainen slumped back to 12th without a single podium finish to his name, his best result being a 4th place. He actually finished level on points with Felipe Massa, who was quite literally shot in the head during the Hungarian Grand Prix and had to miss, the latter half of the season. So then he and Kovalainen both scored 22 points. Now, for 2010, McLaren opted to sign the 2009 world champion Jenson Button, therefore had to say goodbye to Kovalainen, who went on to join the newly formed Team Lotus, which was quite a woeful car, and in his 3 seasons there, so 2010, 11 and 12, he failed to score a single point. He did made 2 appearances with the actual Lotus team in 2013 in place of the Kimi Raikkonen's famous injury, or quite mysterious injury, if you will. But again, he didn't yield any points. Now, it has to be noted that this call-up from the Lotus team in 2013 did come on a very, very short notice. But as it turned out, it also spelled the end of Heikki Kovalainen's Formula One career. So, what happened then? How did it come to this? By all accounts, Heikki Kovalainen was a star in the making. So, what happened? How did this star fade away, if you will? Well, firstly, let's take a look into who his teammate was in McLaren for 2008. Of course, being teammates with Lewis Hamilton was never going to be easy, and even Kovalainen himself admitted that this probably took a toll on his, confidence and played tricks in his mind. He said that no matter what he tried, Hamilton was always faster. He said the average lap didn't matter because it wasn't good enough. He was always there ahead of me. He said this in an interview in 2021, and that when you have done a thing that I've did for 1.5 years and simply are getting nowhere, I kind of lost the energy to do it. And by the end of 2009, I simply lost the energy, and I even drove below my own standards. Of course, I'm paraphrasing this. Now, ironically, this latter part of 2009 season that he's referring to was actually his stronger part of the year. He scored, I think, 5 or 6 consecutive points finishes. What I concluded from Kovalainen's statements is that he appeared to have put too much pressure on himself. You know, he focused too much on what his teammate Lewis Hamilton was doing, and when time came, I guess, to focus on himself, he simply, ran out of time. Luckily for him, the Japanese Super GT Championship was there to salvage his career. He joined this series in 2015, and right the very next year, he managed to win the Super GT title, and in general, won a race in about every season he competed in. Nowadays, he competes in the Japanese Rally Championship, sporadically, of course, appearing in the Super GT as well. So yeah, a Formula 1 flop, a highly talented and versatile driver, but he simply appeared to have put too much pressure on himself, and therefore his results suffered. Now, could he have been the next Formula 1 world champion? I don't think so, with the likes of Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel just bursting onto the scene. But could he have won more races in Formula 1? Probably yes, with the correct mindset. So then, a look back on Heikki Kovalainen's eventful time in Formula 1. If you think this video is any good, if you think I've made any solid points, and if you have learned something about the Finnish driver, feel free to, leave a comment down below, hit the like, subscribe button, ring the bell for more notifications whenever I happen to upload something like this. And I will try to do the Formula Flop series because there are so many interesting stories in this case across all areas of motorsport. So, until the next Formula Flop episode, I bid you farewell.